Welcome to COVID-19 Fertility Empowerment Podcast. I'm your host, Pantea Kalhor. Episode 21, How Removing Toxins Can Improve Fertility with Michelle Riddle, Occupational Therapist and Registered Holistic Nutritionist. Please subscribe to Pantea Kalhor Transition channel and order my book Naturally Conceive through Amazon. Thank you for watching. Welcome to COVID-19 Fertility Empowerment Podcast. I'm your host, Pantea Kalhor. Using drugs is not always easy for women. And when you are struggling with infertility, you think that if you go to IVF, IUI, and use drugs, you're going to be better. And finally, your eggs going to have better quality and you can conceive. But this is not happening for everybody. And there are some signs and symptoms like hyperstimulation, which prevents you to have a good quality egg. But still, there is hope and you can naturally conceive. And we have great sample here for you. We have a nice lady. Her name is Michelle Riddle, and she is an occupational therapist, registered holistic nutritionist, and the founder of Global Alliance for Our Children's Future. Through her work, she collaborates with leading international scientists, educators, and a community to reverse the symptoms of chronic disease. I'm so happy to have you here. I loved your bio. Welcome to our show. And I'm really inspired reading your bio and your story.
Thank you, Pantea.
Yeah.
It's lovely to be here with you.
Yeah. All right, Michelle, let me know about yourself. What are you going to do now? And how did you end up to send your message, share your message with the world?
Yeah, so I've had a bit of a journey to get here, as most of us do, right?
Yes.
So I went through fertility process for more than 10 years, and so went through the IVF processes and ended up with ovarian hyperstimulation, which was extremely painful, and there was a lot of swelling and inflammation, and so my eggs weren't doing what they should. And I had pretty much given up the idea of having my own kids. But as a result, I ended up exploring a bit deeper and took a look at lifestyle. And when I started to take a look at all of the multiple factors that come into play, I was able to make changes in my lifestyle. And after spending, thousands of dollars and years and years and years on the fertility process, I actually was able to conceive naturally twice. So it was really an amazing process. It wasn't all simple. So one of my pregnancies, because of the fertility hormones, I wasn't able to carry the pregnancy well, but I did. I ended up in the end of the pregnancy. There was a uterine rupture because I wouldn't dilate, and again, that's something that can often happen with the fertility hormones. And so I had a daughter that was born by C-section, and with her, she had challenges initially, and then again, a few years down the road, we started to really dig deeper into lifestyle, and all of her challenges resolved as well. So it's been really amazing for me to get to the root of what's going on with our bodies.
Yeah, actually, that's the topic of a message for my audience, because this is really inspirational when you see that somebody is struggling with infertility for
Yes.
10 years and finally give birth to a beautiful baby, not one, two.
Yes.
It's so inspirational. And how did you do this? I mean, how did you change your lifestyle? I know you have other certification rather than occupational therapist. You are
Yes.
also holistic nutritionist.
Yeah, exactly. So I took a look at the whole picture. So I started looking at a thing called epigenetics. So that is all the stuff that happens to our body. So we come into the world with a genetic package. For me, I'm very sensitive to chemicals, and so are my kids, and so is all my family. And so for that was one of the big things that was causing me to have challenges with fertility, is because I was reacting to the chemicals that exist in our world. So the exhaust, or the off-gassing from the couch, or the chemicals that were in the food, my body became inflamed, and it wasn't able to properly regulate its own hormones. So taking a look at these factors, I started kind of chipping away. So removing as many chemicals as I could possibly find. And that's getting so much easier now, because when we go into the grocery store, we can choose laundry products that have no scent, that have only 3 ingredients, that don't have a whole bunch of extra chemicals. When I was trying to get pregnant, it wasn't that easy. And so we had to go to specialty stores or just use really natural products. But when I started cleaning house, literally, getting rid of any chemicals I was exposed to, eating whole food, making sure that I got lots of fresh air, sunshine, sleeping well, exercising, everything started to work better. My body started to clean out, and all of these chemicals that had been stopping my hormones from working well were able to restart again. And it was truly a wonderful process.
What a beautiful experience. Actually,
Yes.
I did the same thing. I removed the chemicals from my body, and I try not to use, even for cleaning. I
Yeah.
didn't do this. So my husband did all things. He helped me during the process. So I know we are from nature. And
Yes.
what IVF and other drugs do is trying to fake your body to ovulate at another time. And then you actually enter all the chemicals to your body. And after you finish with this, with the IVF or IUR or the drugs, you have to detox your body to get rid of these chemicals.
Yes.
So that's the point of not, because some people have lots of, uh, I mean, IVF is a myth for a lot of people. They think that's magic.
Yeah.
If they repeat it, finally they can get it.
Yeah.
But the point is that you can be sensitive even to that drugs.
Yeah.
Like you had lots of allergy, and even my body, I felt my hormones is not right, is not balanced, because all these chemicals enter to my body. I didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So after I get rid of it, I try to change my lifestyle as you did, more natural, more less processed food. I try
Yeah.
to limit my processed food, and that's the key for even preventing from chronic disease as you do. Because when I talk to different specialists, and they are working on chronic disease,
Mm-hmm.
and they said you have to get rid of all the chemicals, processed food, cut the sugar. So that's the same idea for getting pregnant naturally.
It absolutely is. I mean, our bodies are designed to keep stuff that doesn't belong in our bodies out of our bodies. And so when we have chemicals that come in that aren't meant to be there, whether it comes through the food or the air or the water or wherever it comes from, our body becomes inflamed. It reacts with inflammation to try and gather up and take this garbage out. And the challenge is that when we are chronically inflamed, our body doesn't make the hormones correctly. It doesn't allow us to have the nutrients that we need to make the hormones correctly. We can't absorb things properly. There's often challenges with the bacteria that live in our gut. because of this inflammation as well. Those bacteria are necessary to make the proper neurotransmitters and hormones so that our body will function properly. And so when we have all of this extra stress, when we have all of this extra kind of inflammation or fighting going on within our cells, we can't get pregnant. So number one, the hormones aren't working right. But number two is that our body is stressed, and our cells are smart. They go, when you're stressed, not a good time to have a baby, right? So if there is stress from chemical exposures, if there's stress from a busy lifestyle, if there's stress from things that are reactive to you within your body, then your body goes, hold on, we can't do this right now. You're going to have to get rid of that stress before we bring a baby into this world. So it's really an interesting process.
Yes. Actually, I just want to know how long after you decided to change your lifestyle, pregnancy happened.
Yeah, so that was probably that would have been 4 years, I think, 4 or 5 years almost.
Oh,
Yeah, so it was a number of years after that. But I was really sick. Like the ovarian hyperstimulation made me very sick. And so I needed to detox from that. And my point of getting clean at that point was not to try and have babies because it had been so long and it wasn't working and whatever. It was to get my body healthy, to get the energy back, to get rid of the pain that I was in. And so that's what I was doing, is I was trying to clean up. And when I cleaned up, when I relaxed, when I got good sleep, when I got outside, when I ate the whole food and only ate the whole food, then my body was able to do what my body was meant to do, which was
exactly, because your body is basically right.
Yes.
Is naturally doing the right thing, but we are blocking our body of doing natural thing. So what we are doing with we try to fake it, we try to have chemicals, drugs, and then this way we block our body to do the right thing.
Yeah, and it was so exciting to let that come. But again, saying all of that, I wasn't. I was cleaner. I was clean enough to get pregnant, but my hormones were still challenged from the fertility drugs. So when it came time to have a natural birth, I couldn't dilate. I did not have the right hormones to be able to have that
Even after
happen.
4 years.
Even after 4 years, yeah, I didn't have that, and I think it was because I was so sensitive to the chemicals, right? So both of my births were C-section, but again, had wonderful babies, and I did conceive both of them naturally.
So how long did you use drugs?
Yeah, so the fertility drugs, between the fertility drugs and, well, before even fertility drugs, I had been on birth control. So
that's the point.
Right? Like I had birth control pills, and then I had nothing, was trying to get pregnant for a number of years. It was probably another, 5 or 6 years of dealing with the drugs. So, 5 or so years of trying to get pregnant, and then another 5 or 6 years of dealing with the drugs. Then the ovarian hyperstimulation, and so then after that, another 4 or 5 years. So it was a really long process.
You've been very young when you started, right?
Yeah, I was in my mid-20s when I started. I was older when I had my babies. So that was.
I had a friend. They actually married very early 20s.
Yeah.
But they had a lot of struggling miscarriages,
Yeah.
And she had her first baby age of 46.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, and that's fantastic, right?
Yes.
And yeah. And that time can be really wonderful, right?
So what is your recommendation for people who are diagnosed with unexplained infertility?
Yeah, well, what I would say is really looking at the root, trying to find out what's going on, and The chances of our standard medical system identifying the chemical intolerances, although it's getting better, it's probably not going to be the first place the doctors are going to be looking. And many people are very sensitive to all the chemicals that are in our world. Many people are experiencing the cumulative impact. So we're now into almost the 6th generation of industrial processing. And the chemicals that our parents were exposed to or our grandparents were exposed to, many of those get passed on. So there becomes more and more chemicals through the generations as well. Like these chemicals, a lot of them are forever chemicals, and we don't clean them well out of our bodies. When we look at some of the things that are used for industrial food production, some of the hormones that are given to the animals, some of the growth hormones, they really impact our fertility capacities.
So that's why the dairy product is not good because
That's
they
one
are,
of the reasons. Yeah,
yeah,
it really is. Yeah. And when we look at what our bodies need, it's the things that we can get naturally. So if you can grow it, if you can gather it, if you can fish it, or you can hunt it, and it's the real thing, that's what our bodies need. It needs to be free of all the extra stuff that humans do to it, right?
yes, great. So as somebody who is related to nature, even your
Yeah.
work is related to nature, what kind of food and nutrition do you recommend
Yeah.
for pregnancy?
Yeah, for pregnancy, I recommend really an anti-inflammatory diet. So it's a diet that, number one, is free of chemicals. And number two is mostly the whole food, mostly plants. So if you're looking at eating the food that's been processed in any way, you're going to end up with things that have been changed from their natural state. And I'm going to use dairy as a good example of that. So when we look at dairy, the milk has been pasteurized, so it's been heat treated. Which changes the molecules, and it destroys a lot of the actual natural nutrients that are in it. It's also been homogenized, so the fat has been changed so that it doesn't separate from the water. And this new molecule that where the fat and the water don't separate, it is highly inflammatory in our bodies. So this molecule comes in, our bodies look at this and go, I don't know what that thing is. And then we swell up, we try and get rid of it. The cells go and gather it up and try and get it out of our bodies. When it's not easy to take out of our bodies, which often happens with dairy, our bodies will then store it in fat cells. So we may not be eating a lot of extra calories, but we may be eating things that are reactive for us. And so when our bodies start to be storing garbage, the things that the body doesn't like in fat cells, then it's harder for the body to get pregnant as well. So the body wants to make sure that it's going to bring a baby into a clean environment. And when we have a bunch of toxins stored in our fat cells, then the body goes, no, it's too dirty. We're not bringing a baby into this mess. So that's another reason for the cleaning up. So the foods to eat are things that are, the leafy greens. Lots of leafy greens are great. The whole foods. So if you can see it, if it's an apple, if it's a carrot, if you can see the whole thing, that's the best. Anything that has, only what you can recognize in terms of ingredients. So when you read a package, you should know what the things are. You shouldn't be wondering, what does this mean? I don't know what this number means. The red dye number, I don't know, right?
So do you have any super nutrition food to recommend for pregnancy?
Yeah, so really great foods. It is one of the few things that I would consider a magic wand, which is broccoli sprouts.
Really?
Yeah, so broccoli sprouts are really, really neat, and because they are
Broccoli sprouts or just broccoli?
broccoli sprouts.
Oh.
So the new sprouts that are growing, and you can get in any grocery store now, you can probably find broccoli sprouts, or you can do them yourself. But they're the same. They'd be the same as alfalfa sprouts or sunflower sprouts, or you put them on salads, you'll put them in smoothies, things like that. But the broccoli sprouts they help to clean the body. They're really great they're antioxidants, so they're great at gathering up the garbage and helping to get that out of the body. They're also neurogenerative, so they help to build brain cells and signaling mechanisms within the body. They also help to build hormones, healthy hormones, and create hormone balance within the body. So broccoli sprouts are one of the things that are the component of it, which is called sulforaphane, is something that probably, I would imagine, within the next 4 or 5 years. I've been working with Dr. Jerome Yeager. He's a scientist, a neurologist at Stollery Children's Center in Alberta. And they've been working to have, like folic acid, have sulforaphane as part of the preventive kinds of supplements that moms would be taking early in pregnancy, or even before pregnancy, to help to balance the body. So it's a really great
So is
tool.
this available in everywhere?
Yeah, you can get sulforaphane in a pill.
Oh, sulfur is like but we have also iron um, pills as well. Is it similar to?
Yeah, sulfur is different. The sulforaphane is different than iron. Iron is about the red blood cells, but it's like that. It's a supplement that you can get,
Okay.
and it's not sulfur. It's sulforaphane. So it's a bit different than the sulfur.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's that if you eat lots of the sprouts, the broccoli sprouts, then you're getting that component just by chewing those. And a nice way to do it, if you're thinking that you're near pregnant or getting close to being pregnant, you want to be careful with the sprouts, because sprouts can carry bacteria. So you want to add them to like a stir fry, or lightly blanch them or steam them instead of having them raw. So that would be the only caution I would say, is not to have too many raw sprouts if you're thinking you're pregnant or near being pregnant.
Great.
Yeah.
So give me 5 good points, or 3 to 5 points, to help women to pass their fertility journey with more ease.
Yeah, so the first one is to get rid of the chemicals, to be as clean as you can be. You want to look at managing stress. And that can be emotional stress, but it can also be the stress of your body reacting to those things that don't belong in it. So you want to help your body to calm down. You want to be paying attention to anything that can cause inflammation. And you also want to use mindful strategies to relax as much as you can. Use good planning, use breathing techniques, drink lots of clean water. Clean water is fantastic. And being able to find the pure water, or the chemical-free water, when you live in a city, can be a bit difficult, but not hard to do, or not expensive to do. So you can get a little carbon filter that you screw onto your tap, which is easy. You can use a filter in the fridge if you wanted. So you can pour the water into a carbon filter in your fridge. You can get a whole house filter system, which is more expensive, but you can do that.
It's worth it though.
What's that?
I said it's worth it though.
Yeah.
It's really worth it, but because when you do it for the whole system,
Yes.
water supply, then the whole your whole work, your household is gonna be safe. It's better
Exactly.
this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you do like the chlorine, which is standard in a lot of municipal water supplies. You can absorb that through your skin, right? And so then a lot of people are sensitive to chlorine. And so if you're drinking into your water, it's coming in through your shower. If you've got that household filter system, then you're not being exposed to that.
Mm.
If you want something that's really simple and you want to just get rid of the chlorine in the drinking water, you just get a glass jug, fill it up, leave it by an open window overnight, and the chlorine evaporates and blows
Oh,
away.
you're right. Yeah.
So that's
That's
helpful too. So super
the
simple there.
advice.
Yeah.
All right. How important is to have a positive environment or positive specialist and
Yeah.
positive relationship to have a baby?
Yeah, well, again, the stress is huge, and if you feel you've got a good support system, if you have somebody who is there with you through the process, if you have a practitioner who is understanding what you're going through and able to work the steps with you, and who's open to digging deep into the root causes, you're going to not be experiencing nearly as much stress as you were if you feel like you're pushing against somebody or you're doing it by yourself. You know, it's huge to not feel like you're connected through this kind of a process. The other
Mhm.
part about creating a baby is a baby needs a support system. And again, our bodies are smart. So if we're trying to do this without a support network, and the support network can be a spouse, but it can also be super close friends, or it can be parents, or it can be siblings, or you know, the support network doesn't follow any particular kind of
There are
group
lots
of
of
people.
Facebook groups as well.
Yeah, exactly. So having a good support network allows us to feel protected. It allows us to feel safe. And when we feel safe, when we feel secure, our body is going to say, okay, this is a good place to bring a baby because it's safe, it's secure, it's not a threat, it's not a place that could be dangerous. Whereas if we're all by ourselves and I don't know if I can handle this, our body feels the world's not quite as safe as it should be. And it understands that. Yeah.
Wow, what a nice point. I like that.
Yeah,
All right. Do you have any program, any website, any freebie to give
I
away?
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and we're just updating it today. So on Monday, the website will be active and ready. So it's at www.vitalfutures.ca, and I've got a lovely free ebook there. If your group would like to take a look, and it's free, and it's called "The Sense of Vitality: Foundations for Fertility." So it gives all the basic foundations that we need to put our bodies in check. So yeah, it's a great resource.
Beautiful. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for being here and be part of the show. I really enjoyed talking to you, and especially I'm so inspired to see and that another woman talking about this fertility issues, and this is not end of the road. There is always hope, but as you said, you have to find the root cause of your problem.
yeah, yeah,
So don't just give up, try to discover yourself, and if these drugs is not really suitable for your body, so don't follow it. So
exactly.
because at some point, like me, I just said enough, I don't want
Yes,
to get this drug anymore because I don't want to harm your body. But
yes,
for some people, IVF or IUI
yes,
work well. So
yeah,
that's fine. They can use it if they don't feel wrong about it. But if you don't, if your heart's saying this is not your way, so there are other alternative way, and you have to let your body breathe,
yeah,
let your body relax, and
yes,
be safe, so then can think and recover from all the hormones, hormone imbalance, and all the chemicals, and then again you can be fertile.
yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wonderful, Pantea. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you so much. Bye.